for tires and wheels that could fit on the RX-12 from ZD Racing. And what I came across was a lot of 1/10 scale on-road tires with varying treads, but most of them were, highly suited for on-road. It wouldn't do too much in a gravel situation or, So I was looking for something more aggressive, and this is what I ended up finding right here. As you can see, it's a pretty aggressive rally pattern, maybe 2.5, 3 millimeters deep. The problem with them is they're a little bit oversized, rather than the typical 65 millimeters that those on-roads run. These are like a 68, 69 millimeter. So I did have to trim the body, but as you can see, my body's already chewed up and everything, so that didn't make too much of a difference. So the trimming is very slight. And it's not, I didn't trim the top of the wheel wells at all. I just trimmed the outsides. And so another issue with these wheels, I'll show you here, is inside there's these 5 or 6 white fins in there, and they kind of hit on your knuckles a little bit. You could trim them, with a X-Acto knife or something, but I just screwed them on and noticed that they were catching a little bit, and so I just gunned it with them on while doing the steering and just kind of broke them in, I wore them in. So, but besides that, they fit good, and I think they look pretty good too. So these things they were like, I don't know, 14, 15 bucks. But when I got them, they were actually $7.99 for all 4 of them. They don't come glued, but they were super easy to super glue, because it's not like a monster truck tire where, you have all this rubber that you have to deal with. They pretty much fit right into place as soon as you let go of the tire when you put a dab of super glue in that spot. So we're gonna see how they hook up on this this baseball diamond. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so now I came out here with the stock tires too, and these are definitely a lot more grippy. They, it's hard to explain, but I would say it's got like, I don't know, it's a pretty major grip improvement out here. It still drifts around and everything, but man, it just really it grabs up a lot faster. But I'm noticing that this thing is also flipping a lot more too because of that grip. So I'm just like, completely, gunning it and everything, but with a little more control on the throttle and on the steering, depending on your speed. Yeah, it works out. They're actually pretty nice. And you can tell it's got a little bit more ground clearance too. Yeah, so I would say just from running it that little bit, that it does have a lot more grip. However, also you can see there's a little bit of binding going on with the tire size. Like it kind of locks up. but it's minor. It's very minor. So now I know I can run a 68, 69 millimeter tire and wheel set on here. This place is horrible for rocks getting stuck in your drivetrain here. It's like the pebbles here are just the perfect size to get caught in the river zone. So basically, we're going to try it on some asphalt next, but the asphalt was just rained on last night, so there's no dust or anything, so I expect it to be pretty sticky. So this is the parking lot I'm talking about right here. Now I've been to this parking lot a bunch of times, and I've done a lot of drifting here, and so really, this is the worst example of the footage that I have here. Usually it's a little bit dusty and, you can really drift through here. But as you can see, it's a pretty beat up parking lot and the rock size is really, it's big. And so, being that it just rained last night, this thing's catching on everything. So, it's not really a good example of how the car acts on a normal day. Usually, you could just tear it up and it's not a problem. I've actually only flipped here like once or twice, and while shooting this footage this morning, I flipped so much it wasn't even funny. So, I've edited the video to make it reflect like, kind of how it normally acts. You can see when the car comes up, a lot of times you can see that it's bouncing a little bit from the tires. It's got a little extra rubber there, and the soft rubber and soft foam, and it gives it a little bouncing effect. And that does help it flip over a little bit, but like I said, generally I have not had that problem, and I think it looks cool too. Now, these tires, I've probably done about, I don't know, maybe an hour and a half total on asphalt, basically just drifting. And like when I first got the tires, I took them out on the asphalt, in fact in this parking lot, and I just mashed them for a full pass, because I wanted to see what they were doing. So I mashed them. I mean, I've been here a bunch of times, just really drifting the hell out of these tires. And I'll show you the wear on these at the end of the video compared to the stock tires. Now, the stock tires, I was very careful with the stock tires, and like, I think I ran 3 runs on asphalt, but it was only like half of the pack, and then I switched to dirt. And you can see a lot of wear, it's visible wear. you know, they're not worn out, but they're halfway there just from like, you know, 15 minutes on asphalt. And I really love these tires. I mean, they act right. They give you a little bit of extra cushion, thus the bounciness, but they're a little bit bigger. They help you get over all these rocks and, you know, through the grass better and stuff. Now this field is it's pretty rocky. It's got a generally smooth surface, but there's a lot of rock and debris on it, and then patches of like weeds and things like that. So I would say it's, you know, a pretty rough spot. I would say that this is about the limit of where you want to take this and have the car act right. But as you can see, this thing rips. I ripped this field a lot of times. You know, it's just an open field. And there's some rocks here that are like, you know, almost baseball size. There's, you know, always different obstacles in this field. It also gets pretty thick with the weeds too. So, I mean, the performance on this is, you know, I'm really happy with these tires. I can't say enough about these tires, especially for the price. They're 15 bucks, but I got them for like 8 bucks for all 4 of them. Barely had to trim it, and I think that this, in conjunction with the suspension work that I did, and there's a video to that suspension work somewhere in my videos, basically rebuilding it and going through the whole suspension. But the combination of the two, I'm really happy the way that it goes through this field. Before I did the suspension and before I switched to these tires, I mean, it was a really hopping, bouncing, rolling over, tons of things in this field. So the behavior of this car out in the field was a lot better. I mean, it was ridiculous how much it was hopping and flipping over. And now it seems to be more in touch with the ground, stays more in touch with the ground, a lot more control out in this field. I basically picked this field because it's almost beyond the limits of, you know, what I think you could be doing with this car. And then tuning the suspension and adding these tires and wheels, you know, I rip this field every time now. So, I mean, I'm so pleased about these tires. They last forever. They grip up. They're cheap. To find them, I just searched Amazon for 68 millimeter rally tires, or 68 millimeter RC tires. But really, just look at Amazon, and when you see this tread pattern, that's the one. You know what I mean? They're cheap, they're awesome, and I can't say enough. So these tires are like 20 times better than the stock tires, in my opinion. They last 20 times longer, that's for sure. And I believe the traction that I'm getting with these is a lot better. So it's just a far superior tire. Don't waste your money on the stock one, guys. So here's the comparison between the stock tires and the new tires that I got. You can see the stock tires are really worn on the inside. So look at the inside of this tire. I mean, this other tire has been seriously like used 20 times more than the stock tire. You can see there's just barely a little wear on the inside. But all the tread is there, everything, and the stock tire is, you know, I would say halfway worn out. So, I mean, it's night and day difference, guys. Pick these up if you can find them. Thanks for watching.